you and I met each other
in 1984.
So that's almost 30,000 years ago, pretty
Yes.
much.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And then we started Cornerstone together.
Yep.
In 1986, we hit the road. And we've been working together for a long time
For a
since
long
then.
time. We did Cornerstone for about 20 years and then came up here 4 years ago to
That's
Ashland,
right.
to
Yep.
OSF.
And in that time during Cornerstone, we adapted Shakespeare plays both as a company, and then I started doing them individually. And Chris just acted very well in many, many, many of them.
Yes. I was primarily an actor at Cornerstone, but also started to direct during the sort of last part of my time there. And did work with you as a playwright.
Absolutely.
As a director. But mostly our relationship when it comes to Shakespeare adaptation has been as actor and playwright.
Which is actually such a great background because Chris sort of is familiar enough with sort of the rhythms of the way I write and the combination of Shakespeare and me that comes through these scripts. And unlike a director who kind of can be outside it to a certain extent at certain moments, Chris has had to live with it and actually act it day in and day in out, which is a kind level of pain probably.
No, not at all. No.
So you're intimate, so deeply
Yes.
intimate with the way that we write.
Yes, I hope so. We did, Alison adapted Twelfth Night a long time ago, which we did together, and then also As You Like It. And there was something almost like kismet or fate or something that I would get to direct this. I mean, I was so happy that Alison wanted me to and that Bill asked me to, because there's it feels a wonderfully full circle to come back to it as a director and not as an actor.
And I think the important thing to know about Chris is that he's incredibly funny. So when you have a play that really is about the laughs, you want Christopher
That's
Liam
right.
Moore in the driver's seat.
That's who you call,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this play is incredibly funny. Incredibly funny. I find the original is funny and hard to follow because the jokes are of their time, and Alison has just brought her usual genius to this play, which is this incredible deep and profound love and respect for Shakespeare's words, at the same time understanding how elastic they are and how beautifully stretchable his comedy, especially his comedy,
Right.
is.
Especially a comedy like Merry Wives, which is mostly not verse.
Right.
So there's a sort of overflowing freedom to the text that I was able to, take advantage of. Mr. Shakespeare as the best writing partner in the history of civilization, I'd have to say.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
And I do think, to go back to Alison and I working together, sometimes it does feel a little bit like we are brains that were separated at birth in terms of our senses of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I do.
In ways that sometimes other people don't get. But that's okay.
But we'll work with the audience. So the
We
jokes
will.
that just we find funny,
Yes.
we'll cut those out.
Yeah.
And we'll just remember them later on in our lives.
But I do think what, people think of a Shakespeare adaptation and they think, West Side Story is Romeo and Juliet adapted. But what Alison does is, I wish there were a different word almost to describe what you do, because they are adapted, but she so respects the original and holds the original so that it's this amazing blend. It's like a wonderful buffet of Shakespeare and the contemporary, sort of living side by side. And I know, having been in her shows, that there's this amazing sort of beautiful attention and fullness that happens from that meeting, and especially with this play, which is so funny and so word funny, so literate funny, and Alison has just, I said to her the first time I read it, there are times I laughed out loud, 6, 7, 8 times, which I never do when I read a play, but this play makes you do that. So I hope we can make them laugh out loud when they see it.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I think one of the other inspirations for this play and sort of the plot of the original Shakespeare leading us to set the play in Iowa. I think there's also when Chris and I first worked together most intensely was in the early years of Cornerstone Theater Company, and we spent a lot of time in rural America, and we spent a lot of time at fairs, and we spent a lot of time hang out with people,
with farmers, ranchers,
and people who live closer to the land, and the ways that we fell in love with those communities and those people. This is such a great time to be able to revive that affection and that respect, and that loving
that part
to
of
show.
America that so oftentimes that I think small town America gets made fun of in movies and TV and plays, and this play doesn't do that. It's not about, we're not making fun of these people who live in Windsor, Iowa at all.
No, they're cool.
Yeah,
they're cool. They're
cool
funny.
and
They're smart.
Yeah.
We
And
get
I
to
do
go to the
think
fair.
that work that we did for 5-6 years, traveling around in these very small rural towns. I mean, I think it continues to inform what interests us as theater people
Absolutely.
to this day, and will always. It was quite profound for us.
It's so important to reinforce the variety of the United States, and to constantly celebrate that, because, as we all know, but there's no reason not to be reminded, it's that diversity and variety and fabulous bouquet, which is what makes our society continue to function and rebirth itself and face the world anew every day.
And the ability to be surprised by people that you think you have pegged, or what they're going to think, or what they're going to say, or what they're like. I mean, that was the profound lesson again and again in Cornerstone, is that no, you will be surprised. You just have to let yourself be open to that. And I think that's what this play, in a way, captures, is that
everybody
ability to be surprised by other people. Isn't that true?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's actually, insofar as the play is about different people from different cultures coming together, it is that kind of surprise and constant learning, and suddenly getting each other's jokes and coming to understand one another. That's kind of what the play is about.